Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Check My Playlist video. And today I have a special one for you. This is the craziest 400 Elo battle you will ever see in your lives. I will just say this right now. I'm pretty proud I found this game. I was scouring through Reddit the other day, looking around for chess games because I was running dry on content. And time as well. Some of you use Reddit for advice, some of you use it for other purposes. I don't know what you are using Reddit for, and that's okay. And I was scouring through the Gotham chess subreddit, and I find this game, the accuracy of both people combined and doubled does not reach 100%. That is crazy. It does not even reach 50% if I'm concerned. It's a crazy game, folks. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, that's it. Let's go on with the video, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. And laugh out so loud, it'll get a noise complaint. Welcome back. Once again, the battle between two 400s commence with the move e4, e5, knights take their positions, and d4. For any cultured individuals, this is called the Scots opening, or the Scots game, where black takes, and then you take back. And then it's a pretty simple game. There's bishop c5, bishop d3, queen f6. Yeah, this is a line, actually, to avoid the trap with knight takes c6, which attacks the queen and then loses the bishop. Very simple trap. Yeah. Or there's also the Scots gambit, which is a gambit. This is the last time we see a normal move. It's been 3 moves, and this is the last time. Oh, sorry, my thing fell. This is the last time we see a normal move happen in this game. We have 32 more moves. Buckle up. Now there are obviously, not only 2 moves here, like knight takes d4 and e takes here. These are your only 2 moves. You can play d6, but this just doesn't look pleasant. Black plays the move bishop b4 check. Now, bishop b4 check looks normal on the surface. You're developing with tempi, which gains time on your opponent. But actually, you're the one who's being developed with tempi. Because a simple move c3 just facilitates White's idea of building on the center, and after a move like bishop d6, White has 2 choices among taking the pawn or pushing forward, and pushing forward is best, because in a hypothetical scenario, ignore bishop to c4, in a hypothetical scenario where you don't do anything about this structure, you just don't do anything, you just like do your own thing, h6, castle, and then you decide to do something about it, it's too late, and by the time you actually start doing something, you're suffering from space. Now, the position is nowhere close to being lost, but it's probably going to get out of hand, and it's a little unpleasant to be playing with a spatial disadvantage. But c3 is played, and now we have the move bishop d6, obviously. No, just kidding, we have the move bishop a5. Bishop to a5, first of all, cleanly hangs the pawn. Funnily enough, it's not the best move. The best move, according to the computer, is d5 striking, and actually the difference now is you can actually start building on the center. And after knight e7, which knocks the knight back, now you can actually take this pawn. And if a move like c6 ever happens, then probably like b4 or straight up d6, launching this pawn forward as a kidney stone. You know how awful they are. I've heard they're awful. And yeah, you just can't remove that pawn. And just White has to be careful about not overextending, which should probably not be a problem for a 400 Elo player. Yeah, so bishop a5, and just taking the pawn completely like that. Now there are 2 ways to regain this pawn back. One of them is queen e7, excuse me, which aims to, take the pawn. Now the best move, unfindable for this level, a4, which just tries to trap the bishop with b4, a5. So black would have to go here, and then, you have a game. You have a game among your hands, and then White has to find some absurd moves. Even if bishop f4 happens, which is very natural, I think it's pretty okay. Yeah, it's okay, but there's f6. And then, okay, black gets the advantage of development, and we take, black gets a massive developmental advantage. So it's possible to let this thing slip, and actually they regain their pawn back, which is hilarious. Yeah. Instead of that, we have the move d6. d6 is an interesting idea, which, aims to take back the pawn. Again, the same move a4. That's not happening. It didn't happen once. It's not going to happen twice. Black plays the move, white plays the move bishop to b5, which pins the knight to the king, and tries to take it. That's as far as white calculated. Now I have the move d takes e5, and now the queens are staring. Now this is probably going, yeah, it's going to explode the eval bar quite high because of this. The computer now wants to trade 2 pieces, take this pawn, threaten the fork, and then take this pawn. And at the end of the day, black has a 2-on-3 on the queen side, and white has a 4-on-3 on the king side. If you do the math, black is down 2 pawns. They have the bishop pair as an excuse, but really, after bishop to b6, there's knight d4, and if you try to be aggressive with a move like c5, that end is going to cut it. It's just bad. And then you can probably just go back. You can also hop in here. It's an awful position, terrible position, horrible opening. I mean, just so much gone wrong. All because of bishop b4 check. All because of that, and white just gets to finally, simplify. Now, white plays a move here that, if I gave you a couple of guesses to try and guess, maybe you'd find it, maybe not. Most of you would probably say like queen takes, but that would have happened already if it did happen. Or knight f6, white is playing. Or bishop e3, or castles. Some of these natural moves. White plays the move bishop g5. Now, bishop g5 on its own is not a horrible move. The reason why the engine falls off a cliff is it thinks that white just loses all their advantage. And after f6, white is pushed back, and black has completely consolidated their position, and the computer thinks it's a draw. It's the farthest thing from a draw when 2 400s are playing, but even now the computer is thinking that white has probably lost almost all their advantage, but still it's a pretty balanced position. There's still a lot of play to be done here until the players can shuffle back and forth to agree to a draw. That's never going to happen. Anyway, let me give you a trick question. What's the difference between queen takes, king takes, f6, and f6, and then queen takes, king takes? One of these lines are less forcing than the other. And actually, queen takes is more forcing because it's a check. So instead of that, we have f6 first. Why is f6 significantly worse than, without queen takes first? It's because after bishop takes and queen takes, there is the sacrifice of the bishop. If you take, you get forked, and you lose 2 pawns. And same scenario once again, and actually this time without the bishop pair because you lose a dark square bishop. And it's going to be 2 knights versus a bishop and a knight. That's going to be the game. And, also black will be down like a million pawns. Yeah, that's it. That's basically it. Awful, just awful. Now white plays a move, which according to the engine is horrible, but in practice it's not. It's bishop e3. It's natural, but the computer hates it. I find it natural. I mean, no one sees a 3-move combination at 400, unless it's a scholar's mate. Bishop e3. Now black should probably trade queens and then defend themselves and then go here, trade this, and enter this position after what's a very natural move for 400, like king to e2, which, prepares for the endgame, or just plays a bonk cloud. No, that's not what happens. We have the move bishop g4, which is okay on its own, but let me tell you right now, this bishop is not going to stay there for too long. That's all I'm going to say. Now the move, we don't have captures, obviously, but captures is actually pretty fine. You trade this. This looks pretty appealing to me and white, because first of all, there's a fork, and then you'd gain a pawn. But black would have the bishop pair, and actually some sort of activity here. You can also just trade the bishops, and now this also doesn't look too pleasant. And also black is getting some sort of counterplay. You can argue that. Bishop e2 is the move chosen. Now bishop e2, as ridiculous as it looks, it makes a lot of sense. Because queen takes d1 is met with bishop here, and actually this, then you take again with the bishop. The engine finds this a bit time consuming, but honestly, if you don't want to take damage to your structure, that's completely fine. And you also have the bishop pair, which is a massive advantage. So yeah. Anyway, instead of that, we have the move, which makes negative sense, is f5. f5 simply just hangs a pawn. Queen takes first of all, and now if rook takes or knight takes, let's say rook takes, you want to develop, and there's just simply this pawn. If you take this pawn back, it doesn't hang a pawn, I apologize, but it does isolate this little tough guy over here, which is going to make it really tough for black to defend the position. And slowly, white will put up pressure to the pawn and might probably just win it. Yeah, not great, not great. No need to give yourself an isolated queen's pawn if you don't have any plan of using the open files it provides. But that's not what happens. Instead, we have the move knight to g5. Knight to g5 shockingly blunders away all of the advantage that white had built up. Because of the simple move queen takes, either king takes or bishop takes, doesn't matter. And trade probably again, because you don't want to lose your bishop. And then after this, you just push on f4, and now white is the one who's suffocating from the spatial disadvantage. Because after this, then there's like moves like h6 here, which boot up the knight backwards, and then you have to go here, and then b6 is an idea. I don't like it too much. I like knight f6 a lot more. And just putting pressure, and then you need to go back and defend yourself, and then black might just get in some way. b6, the computer is still insisting, but I don't really like this move. Long castles is also a very good move here, with check, developing the rook, and doubling on the d file. Just not a great position whatsoever for white. From this point on, however, whatever thing the players took prior to playing this game kicks in. From this point on, and for the remainder of this game, it's going to be complete pandemonium, chaos, destruction, depression. It's going to be horrible. White plays the move f takes e4. Black plays the move f takes e4. Now f takes e4 hangs a bishop. We're going to start off pretty chill, right? Just hangs a bishop. There's no counterplay. I don't know why they hang a bishop. So, yeah, cool. 400 stuff, you know. Yeah, you've been here. I've been there. Actually, I've actually never been in the 400 Elo territory, so only you've been here. I haven't. I was at the 600 territory for like a month. Anyway, let's continue. Now, obviously, white should probably take this bishop. Now, it's just 1-2 squares away from the bishop, so probably it's very easy to see it. I was wrong, 96. 96 is shockingly horrible. It's shockingly horrible. Because not only do you not take a free bishop, you actually hang a knight of your own. So instead of taking a completely free piece, you also lose one of yours. And actually, it's far worse than that, because you can trade like the queens, and then black is just up a piece in a completely lost endgame for white. But this wouldn't be a checkmate playlist video if absolute chaos occurred. Black sees the threat on the knight and the threat on the queen, and obviously does not trade, and obviously does not take like this. Obviously, none of those things happen. And obviously, they do not guard their hanging pawn. You know, I know this exists. I know, but they haven't seen it. so they will not, they can't even do anything about it, to be completely fair with you. They haven't seen it, so I assume that it's going to stay like that. And play this move, which is so interesting. That's the kindest way to put it. Queen to c8. Queen to c8 is a double attack on the knight, using the queen and the bishop, which has been hanging for... How long has this bishop hanging? Ever since f takes c4, for 2 turns. In fact, it doesn't get taken. Hilarious. Actually, knight takes g7 is the best move, because after king f8 or king f7, you will take this, win tempo against the queen, and after the queen moves, then the knight escapes. So brutal. And white just gets out scot-free. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Because if that would happen, this wouldn't be a video. They would just resign. Anyway, knight takes g7 does happen. King f8 for some reason is a mistake. I don't know what the difference between king f8 and king f7 are. I guess king f7 you're closer to the center. But I don't know. My engine is just... I don't know, just too harsh. Anyway, bishop h6 is the move chosen. Now that bishop over here, keep an eye on that bishop. It's going to survive for a while. This bishop is still hanging. Black has a lot of moves here, like taking the bishop for free, taking this bishop, force the queen out, then take the bishop, and then take probably the knight, because they'll forget about it. No, they do not do any of those things. Instead, they play the move bishop takes c2, and now they take this, right? Wrong. Queen d7. I cannot explain queen d7 even if I tried. There is no possible way to explain this move. Queen d7 blunders, knight to e6 check, double check. And after the king moves, both pieces make it out alive. With moves like knight here, and then the bishop escapes. Or queen c4 checks, and you can check in, infiltrate everything, and black just loses because they're gonna lose that pawn as well. Like, the engine finds this idea, which honestly is pretty disgusting. Yeah, horrible position, that's all I'll say. Anyway, obviously, that happens, right? No, that doesn't happen. Even if you're 400, you do not see that. So we can pass forgiveness for the next move, queen to b5. We can pass some forgiveness for this move. At least do something about the situation of your pony and your bishop. They do not, in fact, do that. Any of those things. Anyway, black doesn't do anything of that either. They play rook to d8. And now rook to d8 is simply blundering a double check fork. Have you ever seen something like this? Obviously, you've played this game probably for a lot longer than I have. No, you probably have seen it. But, just roll with the punchline. Anyway, they just lose a rook. That's the punchline. Then you go back. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Okay, fine, they don't do that. What's a very natural move? Well, actually, rook to d8, if we ignore the double check fork, threatens a checkmate. That deadass threatens a checkmate, so white probably has to act fast, like castles. I know the bishop is hanging, but we pretend it doesn't exist, because the players don't know it is there. Like castles, or queen to c5 check and then castles, or bishop to d2 or knight to d2. Again, I know this exists. I'm fully aware it exists. White plays the move queen takes b7. And yes, folks, you're reading that correctly. That's a mate in one. All the way down. You just plop the queen all the way down, you make them resign, you delete the chess.com app, and yeah, that's the game, right? No. We still have a good 15 moves left. Black plays the move knight to d4. Knight to d4 is shockingly logical. First of all, the double check fork is still there. It's not as good anymore because of all the crazy things that have occurred. And now the engine wants to take this knight, because if you take the rook, now there is this. And actually, black is mating white. Crazy. Yeah. There's also just straight up check, and after this, you take the knight, they take back, and then you take this pawn with check, then they go not to here, that's a problem. Here, you trade, and then you probably just like castle or go back, both moves are fine, and by the end of all of these trades, white emerges up 2 pawns, with a better structure, with a 3-on-1, 2 pass pawns on the king side, and a bishop versus knight, and 2 pawn advantage. Crazy. Anyway, that doesn't happen, queen takes c4. Are you kidding me? You thought that was gonna happen? Yeah, no. Queen takes c4, though, shockingly stops the fork on c2, and the mate, if you think about it. Anyway, the bishop is still hanging, so probably take that, right? No, absolutely not. Here's something very triggering happens. Black plays the move knight f6, which implies that black saw that they can take the bishop. Because when the queen moved, then they realized that they can go here. And then they saw that they can also grab this, but they didn't grab it for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why black did that. I have no clue and no evidence, and I can't prove anything. I don't know. I just don't know. So yeah, knight f6. Now there's a very ridiculous move here. Knight h5. Very good move. Very, very beautiful move. Just very beautiful move. Just not gonna happen in a million years, but very beautiful move nonetheless. The idea is after this discover check, you take the knight, you force black forward, and then you can h4 is the idea of the computer here, which is a bit crazy if I'm being completely honest. Knight d2 is a bit more natural, trying to take the knight, and once the knight moves away, then there's probably like a million threats on the king. And yeah, what can I say? That does not happen. Instead, we have the powerful, ultra crazy, awesome move you will never be able to guess in a million years. Queen takes c5, blundering, and mate in 3. Actually, 2 mate in 3s. First of all, there's knight f3 check. If you take the knight, you get mate in 1 because of the rook and the queen battery down the d file. There's also the move knight to c2 check, which after this is a mate, and also if you go up, it's a mate in 1. So there are 3 checkmates. I'm not sure there's any more of them. Yeah, there's only 3 checkmates. 2 checkmates. 2 mate in 3s. Which one does black choose? Black plays the move knight c2 check, and when I saw this game on Reddit, I was like, okay, this is where it ends. If king f1 was played, black would have seen this, it would have been over. Instead, we have king e2. White plays a delayed bomb cloud and goes out with a bang. Good. And now, it's simple, dovetail mate. And white will probably just get checkmated. Oh, sorry about that. You didn't see anything. Anyway, queen d2 check. Yeah, they didn't play the mates. Yeah, you would think they would get mated, setting up all this battery and pointing out at the king. No, queen d2 check. And hilariously enough, queen d2 check not only does not end the game, it hangs the queen once, twice. You remember this bishop that has been existing here since, what was this bishop h5 maneuver? When was this played? Bishop h6 maneuver, yeah. This bishop has been there since move 13, and it has been sitting there for the entire game, and now finally has a chance to take the queen. It doesn't. King f3. I cannot explain this move. That's okay. Anyway, king f3, right? Now black, clearly frustrated that they couldn't mate. They take the rook out of frustration, and not only do they hang their queen, they hang a mate in 5. And shockingly, white sees the knight. And now, black is mated. Black is mated. Not only is black mated, they're also at the worst case scenario, at the best case scenario, they lose a queen from a knight or the bishop that has been hanging there for the entire game. King g8. Now it's simple. It's very simple. It's a bit tricky, but it's simple. You go queen to e6, force the king back, discover attack, then the queen has to shack itself, and you don't take the queen, even though you'll still mate in 6, or you will just win a slow game, but you give it check, and then you give this check, and it's mate. Beautiful mate. Just a beautiful mate, ignoring the queen completely, then taking it. Just beautiful. But obviously, it wouldn't have been a checkmate playlist video if it didn't last at least 20 moves. b4. And now, white is still better, despite being down a rook, and not taking this queen, because this king is extremely weak. This king is also weak, but it can potentially, keyword, potentially run to cover, like around here with the pawns. Like if you're crazy and you give like a million checks, and you give another check, and then you can probably just find a way to cover yourself, and give another check. g3, you block, it's over. No more. Done. It's over. Goodbye. And then black needs to sacrifice all of their material, and probably get mated in a couple moves. That doesn't happen. You really thought that was going to happen? No, of course not. King f4. So the queen d3 check was played, in fact, and got out of the way of the bishop, but king f4. And now king f4. And ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that rook f8 wins the queen. And not only does it win the queen, it will probably win the game. But black plays the move bishop b6, which attacks a pawn, but has a blatant disregard for anything that goes around the queen side, on the king side, and just blunders a mate in 2. A double, no, not double, a discovered checkmate. Check. So beautiful. It would have been so beautiful, right? It would have been beautiful. Instead of that, knight e6, which is a good move because it threatens mate, threatens the rook, it threatens God knows what else. But unfortunately, rook e8, and yes indeed, white will checkmate, right? White checkmates here. Obviously, you move the knight. You moved the knight from this. You moved this pony from this position. So if the rook moves, which is stupid, the best move is to go here to give a check, and then go back here, and then probably lose your queen, like here, for example. You have to lose your rook. You have to lose your everything. I mean, you lose 2 rooks. Not even, you lose this, you go check, and it's made in 15 moves, you resign. So yeah, obviously, white plays the mate, right? No. Instead, they move a knight and discover attack the knight, which is unfathomably stupid, because not only can the knight escape, it just escapes. There is nothing to that. They also just, you know, they just missed the mate that they themselves set up. So now we have the move queen to d6 check, which white plays king f3 back, and rook takes c6, and the creme de la creme, queen z7. Just kidding. Because queen z7 was not played, despite being the top engine, despite being the only move for advantage, despite being the only sensible option for white. Instead, white finds a better move than mating in 1. It's called Queen F4, pinning yourself with this move. But instead of that, black takes the queen. I'm sorry, black doesn't take the queen, although that would also be probably completely winning. No, it probably, it probably wouldn't. You would still lose a lot. Never mind. Yeah, black just plays queen d3 check, which is the great move, by the way, according to chess.com. I don't know what's wrong with straight up just winning the queen. I don't know. I don't know. And after winning the queen, you actually also win the bishop. I don't know what's wrong with that. Yeah, queen d3 check, king to g4, and now queen takes c3, which stops one of the threats, which was to trap the knight, but it completely disregards the other checkmate idea, queen f8, which white did not see. Knight to b5, just, I mean, beautiful. Honestly, it's a beautiful game. I don't have any complaints. And now the move queen to b2, which does God knows what. Queen to b2 hangs a mate. Again, it's just there. Queen f8, just slide your queen down, it's over. No. Knight takes c7. For some reason, I don't know why knight takes c7 is such a necessary move. But knight takes c7. Bishop takes c7. Mate in 1 once again. 4 moves in a row. Queen takes c7. And only what black has to do is give a check. And then they will take the bishop and probably win the game. Instead of that, they just take the bishop. And now there is just a draw being blundered. And king here, and if you go forward, then the queen comes back, hunts you down. You have to go back, and it's going to be a draw in a repetition. That's it. Black is not satisfied with the draw. They want something even better. And they play the move king g5. I'm sorry, white is not satisfied with the draw, and they play the move king g5. And now black finally wakes up from the dream. Plays queen f6 check, king g4, king f8, completely missing the mate in 3 here. It's okay, we can pass forgiveness. King f8, completely lost. And then white, finally, after 10 moves, takes the knight on a1 and blunders at checkmate into. And the game between two 400s ends. Now, I'm gonna edit this. I haven't actually done this in lifetime. I will edit. I will show you the game report. Look at that. Look at that. Look at those numbers. Look at the accuracy, for fuck's sake. Look at that. 9.9% accuracy and 2 for the other guy. Do you understand? Their accuracies did not break 20% combined. It was crazy. It was insane. And also there's the graph. I probably edited that too as well. It was crazy. Happy summer break, folks. Happy summer break. Let's hope the content we bring this summer is as great as this game. Now get the hell out of here.